Okay, hello everybody. As Shavkat said, my name is Chris and I'm one of the partners in a company called Wilmer who have written and developed Project Tracker, which you're going to look at this morning. I know we've got a bit of a mixed audience from some of FMD's partners who may have seen the software before, through to others who may be seeing it for the first time. So as we go through, I'm going to give a full demonstration of what the software can do, but I will also point out as well some of the new features that we have put into the latest release, version 1.5, so that people can see the differences between what we released in January of this year to what's just been released in May of this year. So the software was developed by my business partner Andrew Willard. He saw it as there was a gap in the market for this type of application. So what we've done is to put out a tool that we believe simplifies the whole process of creating your S-curves from your planning software. We are listening to what our users want. We see that as being very important. So a lot of the new features that have gone into this version has come through feedback from our user base. We're also we're always working on new features, but without neglecting the basic fundamentals of what the software is, which is about S-curves. We don't want it to be an all singing, all dancing software with loads and loads of features in it. We want to keep it relatively simple but powerful with what our users want. So this is the first screen that you see when you come into Project Tracker, and it's this part that we're going to look at initially. So this is the import. So this is where we import the data from our planning software. So the version of Project Tracker that you buy, you can import from all of these tools. So we've got Power Project, Microsoft Project, and then also P6, and we've got the different formats. So we can do Microsoft Project XML, P6, we can connect via the SDK, which is this button here, and then XCR and XML. Now, one of the key things with XCR and XML files is that we don't actually need the application installed on our machine. So if someone was to send me an XCR file, I don't need P6 on my machine. I can just import the file on its own. I don't need that application. If you're using Astor or Microsoft Project, you would need the project open. Okay. So what we're going to do this morning is we're just going to have a look at importing an XCR file. If there are questions, whether you want to save them to the end, if there's time, I will try and answer at the end of the demonstration, which should only take about 20-25 minutes. If we do run out of time, then Shavkat can collate all the questions and send them through, and we can come back to you afterwards. So we will answer any questions that people have. So when we're importing our program, you can see here that I'm actually importing 3 XCR files. So one is the project, and then 2 baseline files. So these can be selected like so. So I'll just go off and find the files that I want to import. I can give the baselines their own name. So I've baselined in as soon as possible and as late as possible position to give me my envelope curve that I'll show you shortly. But you can change this name here. So if you did want to call it something different, this is part of the legend when you go into Project Tracker. So I just click on the import button, and you can see it's very quick, very simple, and that's now imported this relatively simple project into Project Tracker. So what we can see here, you'll see in the top right hand corner is the legend. So I'm just showing my actual line. So this red line is showing my progress information up to the date, which was sometime in May, and then I've got the target curve coming from it. So it's showing me when I expect to finish my project. So that's a very simple or the first curve that you may want to see. You will notice there's information at the top of this area here, so it's showing any slippage in your project. So we do give you additional reporting functionality as well as the curve. So this is where we can switch our curves on or off, and also play with the color and the style. So if you're not happy with green, it's very simple to change it. You can make the line a little bit thicker. You can also play with the style of that line. So if you wanted a dashed line with a different color, you can do it. So it's very simple. And then with the turning the lines on or off, here's my day-to-date line, so I can just click on here and the day-to-day will go. So this is all customizable and for you to manipulate the appearance of the lines as you deem fit. So we brought in the two baselines, and here I'm just going to select the baseline 1 and the baseline 2, and so here's my my envelope curve. So here's my as soon as possible line with the yellow line that we have here, and then my blue line, the as late as possible. So standard stuff that you'd expect to see when producing your S-curves. Now, what we are trying to do with the application is to negate the need for exporting this data out to Excel. That's one of the key things we were after. So we've taken Excel out of the equation, so rather than have to copy and paste data. So once you have that single file and producing your S-curves, it's very simple just to keep repeating the process. There's no copy and pasting involved at all. It's just a very simple pickup of the file to which you created in your planning software. Now, what we've also got are two additional lines. So we're trying to add value to the software. So here we've got our forecast line. Now you can see our forecast line again. I'll just make that a bit thicker so that you can see it. So our forecast line comes from the data date, and it's basically calculated your current rate of progress, and is now saying that based on your current rate of progress, we're expecting for you to finish a little bit later if you carry at the continued rate. So for an example, if I've lost 2 days on my project in the first 10 days, it's predicting that over 100 days I would lose 20 days. Yes, so it's just a very simple calculation. It's just an additional line that is available to you should you want to use it. So it doesn't get sent back to your planning software. It's a bit like a trend line. So based on the current rate of progress, this is where you could end up finishing. And then we also have this line here. This is called our recovery line. Let me just make that again a bit thicker. Now you can see at the moment that our recovery line actually mimics the target line, so it's in exactly the same position. Now, with our recovery line, you can see here that the current date that we're expecting to finish is the 20th of May. Now, what we can do with this line is I can click into it and say, well, actually, if I wanted to finish sometime in March, what would the line look like? Now, it takes the initial shape or the structure of your target line and mimics it. So it's a bit like a trend line, but it's showing you that the shape of the curve that you would expect to see if you were looking at finishing earlier. Again, this doesn't move any activities in your program. It doesn't change anything back in your planning software. It's purely giving you that for you to finish on a particular day, this is the shape of curve that you would expect to see. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. Okay. Now, when we bring the data into Project Tracker, you can generate 3 types of S-curves. You can see here that we've got an S-curve type that's set to duration. So this enables you to create an S-curve without resource loading or without cost loading your plan. So we take the durations of the individual activities and can plot a curve for you. So you don't necessarily need a fully loaded program. But if you have those loaded, we do bring that data in, so you can switch between the two. So here, for an example, I can choose my cost, and this is now showing me a cost S-curve, or I can look at my resource as well. So I can switch between the two, and there's more data that I can show you very shortly. Now, if in your planning software it supports weightings, you can bring those through. So by clicking on this button here, we will import any weightings, and then that can affect your S-curve. Okay, so we can bring in that data if it's available. We also have period graphs, so we can start to look at period graphs in this particular area. So if I just turn these on so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So here we have, this is my resource target, this is the current number of hours that I'm doing on a monthly basis. Now you'll see as I hover my cursor over the bar that we have here, it will actually give me the number. More on that in a moment, because we can put additional information in via our data table, another new feature of version 1.5. But then we've also got the baseline data. So as well as showing, so this is my forecast hours that I expect to do in September. This is what my baseline. So as you can see, we've got a variance. So where we are behind in this program, I can start to see the effect of any slip on my program on these period graphs here. Now, we do have, these are set to monthly, but you can set them to any of your choice. So we can go down to days and weeks, a little bit small, but I think you get the idea. Yeah, so months is a little bit better. And as I change my S-curve, this now changes to my cost. Yeah, so you can see that I've got this set in pounds, but you can see my plan costs and my target costs. Now, a new feature that was one of the key things that we were asked for in the new release of version 1.5 was the data table. Now the data table, if I just click onto this button here, you have 8 lines basically. Yes, you have 8 lines that you can put within the data table at the bottom. Now if I'll just put all of these on, just so you can get an idea of what we can do. And as I click on OK, you can see here it's now showing me my monthly cost. Yeah, so based on my cost S-curve type that's selected up here, it's showing me the monthly plan spend against what we actually did, and then our progress in each month as well. So you'll notice at the moment these are just based on the individual months. In the data table, you can see under this first section here called options, we have the data values accumulative. So as I click on OK, so it's now counting. Yeah, so it's showing me my total spend, my forecast total spend up to the end of April is 510, but we're forecasting at 502. Yeah, and the same with our progress. So my duration percent complete or my progress percent complete are all shown down here with week numbers and also week starts. Now also within this data table area we have week numbering, so you can be specific as to where your week 1 is going to start. If you're doing work for companies that may work on a 53-week year, you can set this up as well within this particular section. So we're just trying to cover more bases with some of the information that we're showing in Project Tracker. So it does enable you to format your week numbers as you need to. Okay, I'll just take some of this information off just to we can see things a little bit clearer. Okay. Now the next tab that we're going to look at is the Gantt chart curve here. So when we import all of the data, we're not just bringing in the cost and resource information, but we're also bringing in the activity details as well. Now as I click onto the display Gantt chart, you can now see that it's showing my Gantt chart within the program. Now at the moment I've got this displaying just 30 lines of information. If you want to see the whole program, okay, it's quite small, but you start to get an idea of the activities as to where they're positioned and based on the curve. So where you may start to see a curve sharply increase, it gives you an idea of the work that's going to be carried out at that particular moment in time. Now as I hover over an activity, you can see here that it gives me information. One other new feature that we have in version 1.5 is we're now showing total float. So you'll see halfway down it's got total float. So as well as showing a variance if there is one, so it's given us planned start and forecast start dates, and also any slip and also any total float. So again, another user request that we have. So just one other small feature here. We've got we've now put scroll bars in here. So for those that have used it before and found it a bit frustrating that you sort of had to use your mouse and your keyboard to move about, we now have scroll bars on the X and the Y axis. Now you'll see here that we have a red outline around these items. So we also show the critical path. Again, another user request that we put in version 1.5. But again, if you don't want to show that, you can turn it off. Okay, so that's customizable. The show status that we have here, this shows us the colors to the left-hand side of the activities within our program. These are all set to the same, but you'll basically, as and when you use it, you'll see that we've got a red, amber and green, so any activities that are slipping would be highlighted. But again, that's an on or off show status as you need to. As with the shader, you also see that we shade up those activities that are complete. You can take that on or off. So the presentation of your chart is very important, and we'll touch on printing in a moment. Okay, let me just turn our Gantt chart off. Now, what you will notice, we just go back to the settings tab here, we've got something that's called our dynamic status. Now as I click onto that, you will see that it tracks my actual line, and then it also tracks the target line. So at any particular point, on any particular date, it can see what my planned spend is and if there's any variance against the baseline. Now, what we also have is down the bottom here, there's something called the activity details. Now, as I click on, there's a little arrow just to the left of it. So what this means is as I move, if I haven't got the Gantt chart showing, for an example, as I move through the program, you can see those activities. So at that particular point, those are the activities that are crossing that date line, starting and finishing just outside of it. Now, the information that we have in here, so when we import the data, so this is showing me all of my baselines, so my planned and my actual dates, and also cost and resource effort. So at any time, as I'm using my dynamic status, as I move through, it's showing me activities within the program. So where we may have a number of tasks, those are all listed. So that's our dynamic status. So again, it's just another reporting function of the software that enables you to look at some analytics and some key project data should you need to do so. Okay. Now what we have over here, this is our scope button. So at the moment we have shown S-curves for the complete project. Now this is again some of the new functionality of version 1.5. We now can import a single XCR that has multiple projects in it, something we couldn't do in version 1, but you can now in version 1.5. So if you've got a portfolio of projects within a single XCR, we import all of that data. Now this is just a single project. I will show you a portfolio of programs very shortly. But as I click on the on these little arrows, you can see that we replicate the WBS. And so what this enables me to do, that as I click onto one part of the WBS, I can create an S-curve just for that part. In version 1 you could only do one at a time, but we can now do multiple WBS, and so you can produce an S-curve for multiple parts of your project. Okay, so it's we think this is quite powerful functionality of the software, and we were again as keen to get this in as soon as we possibly could. So it's multiple WBS, so you can eventually you can insert on the full portfolio, an individual project within that portfolio, and then also individual or multiple WBS. Same with your activity codes that you may bring in if you wanted to see an S-curve for a particular trade contractor. So here, for an example, is my plumber, so I can monitor performance of an individual trade contractor working on my project at the moment, yeah, or again multiple. Now the beauty of this selection is that I can add on top of that, so it can be a particular WBS of a particular code with a particular resource, so you can multi-layer the filtering of your S-curves. Very powerful, I hope you see. And then down to our resources. So we bring in the structure of resources that you've got in your planning software, and we can select individual or multiple resource S-curves. Yeah. Now we also support material resource, so you can run an S-curve, say on the concrete that you've poured, on bricks that you've laid, etc. So we do support material resources as well as a permanent or an individual or skill type resource that I've got here. Yeah. So as I say, this is new in version 1.5. For those that have version 1, we only did scope and code, so the resourcing is the brand new section. And also you could only do individual codes or individual scopes within your program. But so I will, I've got another example file that I can show you very shortly. Okay. If we just look at some of the other tabs that we've got here, so here's our S-curve tab. We also do a progress report. So again, this progress report is based on the S-curve type that you have on view. This can be saved, it can be printed, you can copy this data. So if you have a textual progress report that you want to add the data into, this is available to you. Now you can change the text here. So if you do want to add text into this, you can save it and then print it and do what you need with it. So this is a customizable part of the program. Now when you start setting your S-curves, it may be common that what you want to do on a monthly basis is perhaps set up individual trade contractor filters or views, if you like. So here, if I just choose carpentry and I go back here and I'm going to add a view, what I'm going to do here is call this carpentry, and I'm going to add this to the batch print, more of that in a moment. And as I click on OK, that now goes into my View tab. So as you can see here, carpentry is part of this. If if I now go set this to, let's say, plumbing, I'm going to add this to a batch print. Again, this is all fairly new stuff. So what we now have is that the software now knows that if you do a batch print, which is off this button up here, it will print off each of these trade contractor reports that we just set up. Now, what that means is that once they're all set up, you can just click on the batch print, all of them will go. We can also print them all to a single PDF file. Another request that we had previously is what we did in version 1 was that it basically created an individual PDF or an individual printout. You can now sort of collate them all together. So again, another time-saving function. But once you have set them up, you can copy those views from one project to another. So when you run your import, if you had previously set all of these up, so rather having to go through add view that I've got here, you can copy the views from another file. Now by clicking on this button, basically what would happen is I can then go off, select the XML file that Project Tracker generates, and it will bring any views in from that file. So once you have set them once, if you're happy with them, the same trade contractor is going to be in a project by project basis. It's just a time-saving way of getting that data across. Hopefully that's fairly self-explanatory. But again, if you've got any questions on this, we can cover this later. We can also add text into our chart. So if I wanted to add additional text into my program, I might want to change the size of it, the color, etc. I may want to rotate it slightly, so when I go back into here, and this can be moved around, so this will come out on any printouts that you do later. So it's all off this text tab, and if you didn't want to show it on a particular view, again you can remove it. Yeah, so it's an on or off. If you want to delete it, it's just by clicking on the cross here, but that will stay in here until such times that that you don't need it. Some other functionality of Project Tracker is that you can export the data to Excel, but it's via a CSV file. So it takes out the raw data. So if you do want to take the data that we've exported into Project Tracker, you can take it somewhere else. So that's via the export button. As you can see here, it generates a CSV file that so can then be opened in another application. We can also, another new feature is we can just copy the S-curve into the clipboard. So here, for an example, if I just click on copy, I'm just going to go into Paint here, but if I just paste, I can now just paste that picture of my current S-curve directly into something else. So again, if you've got a report, it might be in Microsoft Word, you've got a presentation, you might want to put it into PowerPoint, you can just copy and paste. So that's just via this new button again, which is our copy button. If I just take us into the print settings, we do have a little bit of version control, so you can set your issue and revision dates in here. Various bits of information, landscape or portrait. You can also import your company logo, your client's company logo. It's entirely up to you. You can only do one, but you can bring it in. So when I now go to preview, here is my S-curve all ready for print. So as you can see, there's the logo. Now, something that we are working on at the moment that we've had a request for is that some people are looking just to see specific time periods of S-curves. So rather than showing all the way from project start to end, we are getting requests, well, can we just print off a subset of that data? So we may, so we're hopeful that may be out very soon, but I need to be careful what I say here. That's with our developer, so Andy is working on that as we speak, but something that we're looking to include in the software very quickly. Now with Project Tracker, when you look at closing it down, it will say, do you want to save it? Now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to save this. It saves it as an XML file. So what that now means is that you can send that file to someone else if they wanted to see your Scurve, so they can open up that XML. But do bear in mind it's an XML that's created in Project Tracker, so you can't just open up any XML file. Okay, we have had users come to us and we can't open the XML. It's an import, a save, and then the ability to open that file afterwards. So once you've created it and it's all saved, you can open it at any time. So what I'm going to do here, I just want to show you the portfolio example. So here's just some recent files. So this is a previously created project, but it's really just to show you the scope. So in here, so I've got 6 projects here. Yeah, so 6 projects, part of my portfolio. And what it enables me to do is that I can run an Scurve for an individual program. So without any ticks, this is the complete portfolio. This is every project within this the XCR file that I imported. And you can see that it brings in the WBS. But it does enable me just to look at specific parts. So I can look at different parts of a WBS across 2 different projects within that portfolio. So again, we can get quite clever and quite cute with the data that we have here. Okay, so that is, and you can see it brings in all of the codes, and it also brings in all of the resources. Yeah, so this is all of the resources across that that portfolio. So this is the one that we were working on previously. Just a couple of other new features. If I was to display my Gantt chart, we've now got a bit of a zoom button here, so you can zoom into a particular area of your program. Yeah, so you can make it big. It won't affect the printout that you do, but it does enable you to focus on specific bits of information. Now also with the calculations, when we bring in both baselines, as you can see up here, the comparison baseline, so at the moment we're showing a project slippage against baseline 1, so that's my as soon as possible. I can change between the two. Yeah. So the slippage is the same, but you get the idea with the progress over here. So against baseline 2 we're ahead, against baseline 1 we're behind. And that is the same with our data here. So I can compare. So with my as late as possible, I can see the data here. It's showing we're backloading a lot of, so it could be costs, for example. Yeah, so we're backloading a lot of costs into this project, or we certainly plan to. But based on where we are at the moment, we might be spending the money a little bit earlier. Yeah, so you can change between the two. We have other cosmetic setup, so if you just want to show the progress values on the right here, or both, and so on. If you want to have your lines show percentages, if you don't want any access at all, you can turn it off. Yeah. So what we try to do is to give you as much flexibility. So to make the appearance, we realise that this is a very graphical tool. You want it to be presented in the best possible way, and so we try to cover as many bases as we possibly can. I think that's pretty much everything. I don't know if we've got any questions. Looks like we have. We've got a question here: for complete utilization of Project Tracker, what should the contents of my Primavera file, such as baseline with updated actual duration, % complete resource loading? Yeah, if that's there, we will bring it in. Yeah, so if you've got all of that information within your P6 file, we will bring that data across. If you haven't got baseline information, we can't do the envelope curve, but we could still show you an actual and a forecast curve. So if the data is available, bring it across. If it isn't, don't worry about it. We can still present you an S-curve. So it's not going to say because you haven't got this data, we can't create a curve. So even without baseline data, we can show you your actual progress to date and then our forecast going forward. Is there any other questions? I can't see any, Shavkat. I can just see just that.
No, that's it.
Am I missing?
Okay. I think that's it. Anyway, thank you, Chris, for a nice presentation. Did I attend this? Okay. Here is one more question, Chris. Can you see it?
Yeah. Hold on. Okay. The batch print. Can I explain the batch print concept? So that's primarily around where we have where I showed you views. So it may be that you want to set up an S-curve for an individual code, an individual resource, or multiple resources. So once you've created them, you add them into the view. The batch print concept means that it's just a single click to then print all of those views off. What we now do is, as I said before, is you can hold this within a single PDF. So if I've got 10 resources that I want to create S-curves for, I can set up 10 individual views for each of those resources, set them into batch print. It's a one-click, one PDF file, and all of those reports will be in it that I can then send out or print as I need to. So that's the batch print concept. So you can still print it as a single just by clicking on print. Away it will go and create the colourful print that you're after, or sending it to PDF, or you can do it through with the views, the ability to one-click multiple S-curves within this one file. Another one, what if I don't use WBS and use only activity codes to group it in P6? Will it be under Codes tab? Yes, it would. Yeah, so we would bring in, we also bring in the structure of those activity codes. Yeah, so we bring in the heading, and any structure that you have of activity codes, they will all come through.
And we have another questions about the video, the recording session. Yes, I will send you all this recorded video. And moreover, please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Mr. Armour, I think that's it.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.